John Phelan from DBIC. Welcome to IrishStartUpTV.
Thanks, Richard. Great to be here.
We're here in your offices today in the Trinity Enterprise Centre of Dublin's Docklands.
Exciting place to be, Silicon Docks and all that.
Absolutely, and we're talking about what you can see behind us, your FutureScope conference coming up on the 31st of May.
FutureScope 2016, place to be.
So tell us a little bit about the conference. It's third year.
Yep. I suppose it came out about 3 years ago, and we had about 150 people the first year, and it actually came out of a conversation with the now CEO of Google, Roland Harris, who suggested that it'd be great to have something where we could engage startups to bring them around the Silicon Docks area where Google were and Facebook and everybody else. And we thought, that's an interesting idea. So we set up what was called the Silicon Stroll at the time, and we brought over about 60 people from Europe, about 20 companies, and we had got about another 35 companies, 40 companies locally. We brought them all into the Foundry, and because we called the event the Silicon Stroll, we went to the Foundry. We had a great morning with Paddy in there, and then we put them all in the bus and went out to IBM out in Mulhuddard.
It's quite a trek.
It was a pain, but it worked really well.
It's a very welcoming facility though once you get there.
It's fabulous, and we actually ended up with more people out there, and we had Rory and Noel, who did a great job, and we had Tom Morrisseau did a presentation about the Now Factory and how he had engaged with IBM and how he went from a small company to engage with a large multinational and how it worked for him. I suppose that sort of 2-day event that we had, we then went up to PayPal and then back to the Guinness Enterprise Centre. We had a boot camp session the following day. We had guys over from Europe on the investment side who were taking the 60 pitches, and we ran that, and it was like clockwork, and we had a winner at the end of all that. But the feedback we got from all that is that guys were getting huge insights into the multinationals and what the current trends that they were seeing were, and found that really interesting. So we said, okay, that sounds interesting, let's see what we can run with that. And then we had a couple of companies came to us and said, can you run another one of those? So I thought, yeah, interesting concept. If we had Silicon Stroll, and the strapline I suppose was current trends and future insights, because that was what the interesting bit. So we said, right, let's just do that, and we did it in conjunction with Owen Costello's Startup Ireland there last year in November.
Yeah, it was a very fun event actually.
It was great. Yeah, it was a good day. We had about 500 people there, so we went from 150 to 500.
Right.
And what we said to the presenters is, listen, can you just give us sort of a 10-minute presentation on what the trends are that you're seeing, and then give us 10 minutes what that means. I mean, where's the opportunity coming out of these
Context
trends
is
that
so
you're
important.
seeing? Yeah, so I mean, just because you see trends, that doesn't mean anything. It means, so what's your insights into those trends? What's it mean? Where are they going? Where's the opportunity going to be? Where can I create a business out of all this? So that's really what it all boiled down to. Everything else around it was sort of nice to have, but that was the core of what we asked the presenters to look at. And then this year, a lot of other people came to us and said, can we be part of that? Can we sort of hear what the others are saying, but more of them? And can we add our voice to it as well? Because we think we have some interesting trends that we're seeing. And we said, yeah, sure, why not? That sounds good. And it built out of that.
So for FutureScope this year, we're looking at a mix of the big multinationals, which we have a lot of within the square mile here in the Docklands. Also some established companies, some success stories, and also some up and coming companies.
Yeah,
it's quite a spread.
It is, and I suppose that's the idea. I mean, Dublin BIC has been around for close on 30 years, and the reason it's been here is to facilitate early stage startups and scale ups.
And we'll link to the Dublin BIC website under the video.
Excellent.
So we can learn more about Dublin Business Innovation Centre.
And the FutureScope.com.ie as well.
Absolutely. So why should people come along to the conference, and who should come along?
I've been pitching it at a number of different levels, I suppose. So on the startup side, it's very much to see and hear what the big guys are saying, the multinationals. But it's also to demystify the notion that multinationals are untouchable.
You know, it's incredible that I've had the experience from being at Dogbatch on Barrow Street of having Google just up the road and the openness of that.
Yeah.
And Facebook is just the other side of the dock. So it is incredible that I certainly understand that the multinationals are keen to engage.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's about getting that message out to a further audience. It seems like this is a great opportunity to do that.
And a lot of that comes down to community, networking, knowing who the right people to go to are, and when is the right time to ask to engage with a multinational. I mean, just in terms of, they're very busy people.
What kind of advice then would you have? Should I just ring up a multinational and say, hey, I've got an idea, or
No,
how can we get help from them? How should we approach them?
I think that there's a lot of multinationals are doing a lot of outreach. So they'll have all their stuff on their websites in terms of what outreach they're doing. So you just engage in those processes, get to know who the players are internally, and then just arrange to develop those relationships. And no matter what anybody says, a lot of industry is done on relationships.
Absolutely.
Those relationships come from generally referrals, or somebody saying you should talk to such and such because they have a great idea, whereas if you just plonk it into an email, it'll be gone.
Yeah, I think the opportunity to meet people when you just are there for the context of just making new friends, like the kind of startup grind philosophy, make friends, not contacts.
Yeah, I suppose we put a lot of effort into that. We've given quite a lot of lead time, even around coffee breaks and lunch breaks, just to be able to give people that opportunity. I know myself from going to conferences, a lot of the business that you do is actually on the outside, not on the inside. And you get as much value from those relationships and meeting people in an informal environment where they're not under a sales process. As long as you don't hit them for sales, you'll be fine. If you hit them for a sale, they'll switch off.
Yeah.
If you hit them for a bit of relationship building, would you mind if I did something? That'd be great. And the example I gave to Donald Scannell was that I was at a conference called IBC, which is, you probably know, the broadcasting one out in Amsterdam about 2 years ago. And I was working with a company that was doing hosted video editing.
Okay.
And what I wanted to do was to meet somebody that I could do a proof of concept with out of Avid.
Okay.
And what I didn't realise was that the head of Avid there was there at doing a panel session. So I doorstepped him.
Okay,
and I just said, listen, great to meet you. Don't take up much of your time. Just have some very, very interesting concept with very interesting technology and a couple of great guys from the academic side looking to see if we can get a proof of concept with your guys. Would you mind hooking me up?
Brilliant.
And that was it. I mean, I didn't take up any more of his time. Within 2 days, he had hooked me up with his 3 main people, and we had an engineering team working with them, and they went off and did a proof of concept. Didn't work, but you know what? That's the way it got done.
Fantastic.
That's good.
This general area, in terms of the geography, I think there's probably 3 main things that can happen. One is that a company like Google can organise a specific course to teach you something. The other thing is that they can just organise a generic course to enable people to connect. And then the final thing is, because it's such a small area, it's easy to meet people, the kind of cross-pollination piece, whether it's in a coffee shop or whether it's at a conference like FutureScope.
Yeah, and they all work, and you have to work relationships. I mean, it's not easy to do. You have to be conscious of what their time and bandwidth is and what's going on in their heads and how many conferences and meetings they got to have every day. So to me, less is more. If you want something, just say what it is, do it very politely and have an ask, but get in and get out of their heads quickly.
Well, that's great advice for a startup or anybody else, in fact, who needs the help of somebody. Fantastic.
And most people, I mean, I suppose throughout all my years, most people generally would like to help people.
Valuing time, I think, is a very important part of that equation. We always have to value our own time and also other people's time.
Yeah, I'd almost say if you're in sales, customer mode, you value the other person's time a lot more.
Absolutely.
So you can give them their sales pitch, but they'll switch off after 5 seconds. Whereas if you engage and give an ask very quickly and in and out, I don't want to know what you had for breakfast. You don't have to tell me. So yeah.
Well, it's great advice. So remind us again, the conference is happening on
31st of May. We're kicking off at 8:30. We'll be on for the day. We have 4 different sessions between IoT, the connected world, the future world, fintech, and then data analytics and steel.
So quite exciting and topical subjects.
I think so. I mean, listen, there's a lot of hype around a lot of those different spaces, particularly around fintech, but that's why particularly?
Well, it's quite scary because the reality of it is, you see like the likes of Goldman's and they want to get into the banking space, so they just go and buy GE money. And I think that's the exciting space, that if you don't engage with the startup ideas coming through, they might be coming after you.
Well, you might be gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, you look at Nokia, you look at Kodak. I mean, there's a lot of large companies have disappeared because they haven't kept up or innovated. So say for example, one of the panels on the fintech side of things, the panel section itself is are we really breaking the system, or are we just tinkering? So some people are just tinkering, some people are genuinely breaking the system. So yeah, it'll be an interesting panel discussion in terms of, you guys are tinkering, these guys are really breaking the system. And it's disaggregation of the consumer bank, so that's all changing completely. I just think it's an interesting world to be in. So
I can't wait. I can't wait for this conference. I'm super excited already.
Excellent.
And we can buy the tickets. We'll link to the tickets as well. Where can we buy tickets?
You can buy tickets on the FutureScope website, and Tara Beshoff here in Dublin BIC will arrange everything for you.
Fantastic. John, thanks very much for sharing your insights.
Cheers, Richard. Thanks very much.